Welcome back to AI Business Autopilot. Today we're building a procurement and vendor autopilot, an end-to-end procure-to-pay workflow that starts with a clean purchase request, routes approvals automatically, generates a purchase order, and then matches invoices with confidence. The goal is fewer surprises, policy-compliant spend, faster cycle times, and invoices paid only when the documents agree. Let's map the workflow step by step. If procurement feels slow, it's usually because the workflow is unstructured. Requests show up in email. Approvals depend on tribal knowledge. People buy outside policy, and finance only discovers it when the invoice arrives. Autopilot starts by making the work legible, structured requests, consistent decisions, and clean documents that match later. When I say autopilot, I mean a workflow that can run the happy path end to end. That takes 3 layers: intake, decisions, and execution. Intake makes requests structured. Decisions apply rules consistently. Execution writes back to your ERP and AP systems. If you get these right, procurement stops being a ticket queue and becomes a reliable operating system for spend. Here's the procure-to-pay map we're aiming for. 6 steps: purchase request, policy and budget checks, approvals, PO creation, receipt or service entry, and invoice matching. The idea is simple: each step produces evidence the next step needs. When teams skip purchase requests or receipts, invoice matching becomes guesswork. Autopilot keeps the chain unbroken. Step 1 is purchase requests. The goal is to stop letting procurement start from an email thread. A good request captures the what, the why, and the accounting context category, cost center, need by date plus a quote or spec. The autopilot can autofill defaults, nudge users toward preferred suppliers, and run instant checks like budget and policy. When the request is structured, approvals and invoice matching get dramatically easier. Step 2 is approvals, and the secret is making approval decisions easy. Approvals autopilot means dynamic routing, thresholds, category, cost center, and vendor risk. It also enforces SLAs, delegation, and escalation so requests don't sit in limbo. Most importantly, approvers shouldn't hunt for context. The autopilot generates an approval pack summary, policy status, budget status, and attachments so one screen is enough to decide. Step 3 is PO creation. After approvals, the autopilot drafts a purchase order with the correct vendor master data, ship to details, tax handling, payment terms, and line items. This step matters because invoice matching depends on it. A clean PO is the source of truth for what was ordered and under what terms. When POs are inconsistent or missing, invoice matching turns into manual debate. Step 4 is invoice matching, the part that either becomes touchless or becomes a daily firefight. At minimum you do a 2-way match, invoice against the PO. For stronger control, you do a 3-way match, invoice, PO, and the receipt or service entry. The autopilot applies tolerance rules and clears invoices automatically when everything lines up. When it doesn't, it routes the exception with context and an owner. Autopilot works best when controls are designed in, not bolted on. The happy path should be touchless, but you still need strong internal controls, segregation of duties, audit trails, and special handling for high-risk events like bank detail changes. Automation increases speed. Controls keep speed safe. Vendor autopilot is the foundation underneath P2P. If vendor master data is messy, duplicates, wrong payment terms, unverified bank details, invoice matching becomes noisy and risky. A vendor autopilot standardizes onboarding, verifies critical data, and keeps the vendor record healthy over time with renewals and scorecards. To make this real, measure it. Track request to PO cycle time, the percentage of touchless invoices, the size of your exception queue, and whether you capture early pay discounts. Implement in phases: 0 to 30 days to standardize requests and approvals, 31 to 60 days to pilot a few categories, 61 to 90 days to scale matching and dashboards.